Hey everyone, Rawdawg Rory here, and today we're going to be doing a little experiment in the kitchen. Now, I've been an avid kombucha fan and a kombucha brewer for years now, and for those of you who don't know what kombucha is a probiotic tea. It's a fermented tea. What you do is basically take a sugared tea base. You know, it's made up of like brewed black and green tea leaves or a mixture of different tea leaves and organic sugar. And that is like this solution. It's a growing medium for this culture called kombucha. And kombucha, it creates this funky mat over the top of the brewing vessel that's called a Scoby. And what a Scoby is basically a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast, because that's what kombucha is. And those cultures turn this black sugared tea mix into a probiotic, nutrient-rich beverage that's full of good organic acids that help boost your digestion and may help you in detoxification. It's just amazing stuff. Now, you can go ahead and buy bottled kombucha at the store, or you can go online or talk to a friend who's brewing kombucha, and you can pick up a culture or a Scoby to get yourself started. But, you know, you can do that, or you can actually buy the unpasteurized forms of kombucha, such as GT Synergy or High Country Kombucha or another unpasteurized form of kombucha, and you can use that to get your culture started, and that way you won't have to worry about finding a Scoby or purchasing one. So let's get started. It's super easy. What I have here is my tea base, and basically what I did is I took about 12 cups of water, boiled it, and added a cup of sugar, organic sugar, stirred that in, dissolved it, brought it to a boil again, and then tossed in a handful of loose tea leaves, a mixture of black and green tea leaves. And now what we're going to do is we're going to pop that in our brewing vessel. And this is just a plain glass brewing vessel. That's really important when you're doing kombucha. You do not want to brew it in porcelain. You definitely don't want to brew it in metal because kombucha is an acid-based organism. It uses its acids to break down the sugars in the tea and digest it, and provides these good acids to your digestive system. So if you brew it in a vessel that's got anything funky in it, it's going to leach it right out. So you want to just go with a straight-up glass brewing vessel. And this tea mixture that I've made, I've allowed it to cool to room temperature. You always want to do that so you don't shock or kill your culture. I'm just going to strain that off into here, leaving a little room to get our kombucha in there. That out of the way. And now what I'm going to do, rather than picking up a culture online or trying to bum around for a friend who's growing kombucha to get a culture, we're going to get a Scoby started with this. I'm just going to pour this in here. And once I got it to about the halfway mark, you'll notice there's a little bit of sediment in the bottom of your kombucha bottles. You know, sometimes you'll get lucky and it'll be what some people refer to as a kombucha booger, where you get that big film on top of the kombucha bottle on the inside. You know, it could be a funky experience, but that's actually a Scoby trying to get going in the kombucha bottle. So hey, if you get one of those and you're doing this kind of project, bonus. But I'm going to stir this up to make sure I get all that sediment, all those little strands in there of culture. Make sure that goes in there as well. Oh yeah, there they go. Nice. And now that we've got our base culture in there, it's going to take a long while for this to develop. A Scoby could take anywhere from 3 to 5 weeks for it to really develop a Scoby that you could actually transfer and do anything with. And what we want to do while we're waiting for that is cover it over. You could use a remnant of a t-shirt. You could use any kind of dense fabric. You don't want to use cheesecloth because it's a little too porous. But what this fabric does is it keeps any mold from settling in there, any mold spores. It keeps fruit flies out as well. Fruit flies love this stuff. They will go after it like crazy. So we want to keep them out of there so they don't get any contaminants in our kombucha culture. And then what we're going to do with this guy, we're just going to put it away in a dark location where it can be undisturbed. You don't want to be like moving this around every day. You don't want to shake it around because we want to let that film grow. We want to let the Scoby culture rise to the surface, come together, and form completely before we attempt to move it. So you want to put it somewhere you don't have to move it at all until it's done doing its thing. So we're going to put this bad boy away. We're going to keep track of it, and we're going to be back to show you what happened. Hey everyone, we're back, and it's been 25 days since the start of our little kombucha brewing experiment. And our GT's Synergy batch has created a lovely Scoby for us. Check that out. Can you believe this guy just came from a bottle of kombucha from the store? So, you know, you really can do it. It does work. And now that it's grown to this size, I want to transfer it over to a larger brewing vessel, and we already have this vessel filled up with about 2 gallons of our sweetened tea mix. And I'm just going to pick this guy up and transfer him over. And this is incredible. You know, I've worked with buying kombucha cultures and doing it that way, but starting out with just a bottle of kombucha is just wicked. You know, it's really funky looking little Scoby, but it's definitely healthy. It's going to do its thing. No funkiness to it at all, other than appearance. And we're going to take some of this finished kombucha that it was brewing in and add it to this sweetened tea that we have in here to inoculate it and provide it a good base to go on. You know, it kind of kick-starts the brewing process. Whenever you do kombucha, you're transferring the Scoby over, you want to give it some of this brewed tea. I like to even do up to 25% of it at times, just to make sure it's all inoculated and it's not going into shock, like, oh my gosh, it's just plain tea. You know, so you got to deal with it a little bit differently than you would water kefir crystals. You know, you want to add a little bit of this good stuff there to get it kick-started. Good, just going to pour that in there. There we go. And just float this little bad boy on top. Go. And just cover it over again. And then in a couple weeks, we should be looking at harvesting some really good drinking quality kombucha from this guy. And now this first batch here, the stuff that he was brewing in was going for over 3 weeks. So it's really acidic, it's going to be really potent. So rather than using that for, you know, straight up drink, you know, you can use this for skin treatment. You can apply this to your skin, let it dry on there. It's got some good acids for toning your skin and cleansing your skin. And another thing you do for it, you could use it as a substitute for vinegar. Put it in your blender with a little bit of spices, some oil, blend it up, make your own kombucha salad dressing. And or you can dilute it with water and drink it maybe half and half. But you don't want to be like slugging big glasses of this stuff. You know, be a little bit too potent on your digestive system. But definitely going to make some use out of that. We're not just ditching it. And this whole project got us so psyched up about, you know, doing the bottle kombucha that we decided rather than just experiment with the GTs, we went ahead and picked up a bottle of High Country kombucha and started this one about, I'd say about 8 days later. So this guy's been going for about 21 days. And look at that, just from a bottle of High Country kombucha. So you can do it from multiple kombucha companies as long as the kombucha is unpasteurized and raw. It should say it right on the bottle. Sometimes you'll even find a bottle with a little like Scoby floating in it that's developed over the course of that. So I mean, if you got that, bonus, you're already off to a good start. You know, you just want to make sure it's unpasteurized, because there are a couple of companies out there that are selling pasteurized kombucha. But as long as it's unpasteurized, should be all good. And in the future, we plan on even experimenting with more bottled kombuchas that are live and giving it a shot and see how they compare to these different blends we've got going on here. And below this video, we're going to post links to blog posts on my website that have even more information about kombucha, kombucha's health benefits, and some more advanced stuff on brewing and bottling kombucha. You know, get you really geeked up and set up with all the info you need to go ahead and do this yourself at home. Peace out, everybody.